Today we have Peder Nelson, and then in the second half, our first annual, and this is going to be, I'm so glad that I'm here with all of you as my friends, because it's the first annual Globe Trivia weekly COVID-19 challenge. So get ready for trivia after Peter's presentation. The other thing that I just wanted to briefly share, and this was from Lynn Chambers, and she wants all of us to remember that they've just launched Earth Day at Home. And so there's these different events happening all this week and next week. So there's a whole bunch of resources on that. I don't know if our NASA partners want to say anything else about that. If they have any insight, it's up to you.
I think there's just going to be I honestly don't even know all of the schedule, but I think they're going to have some live demo things on Earth Day itself, and then a bunch of content going up all throughout the week. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot that's going on there. I will say not totally related to Earth Day, but sort of in that theme. There have been, we have been doing our team, Brian did one, Peter did one yesterday, but so every Thursday at noon Eastern is kind of, we've been doing demos on NASA Earth. So it was Marley and who else has done one? Brian, Peter, I'm missing somebody. Anyway, every Thursday at noon on NASA Earth, and then EO Kids videos are coming out on Tuesdays. So those aren't specifically Earth Day related, but there's a lot of Globe content in both of those segments that we're doing. So
cool. Thank you. And then I know Dave Bidzowski, you have a lesson plan that you're doing with third graders. Do you want to share about that briefly? This might be interesting to you, Amy, as well. You're muted, Dave. We can talk to you later when you're unmuted. All right. So then, and Peter says he's doing this event on Earth Day. So if you want to check out the scistarter.org one, workshop for all. So if you wanted to check that out too, he put the link in the chat box. So we will, we put all of these links and resources in the water cooler recording details, so people can go and check that out. So we'll make sure we get that out to the website and to the Globe Communications people. And it's kind of neat because these water coolers are uploaded and then they automatically go to anybody who's subscribed to the Globe Implementation Office. So all of that is right on there. Dave, do you want to say something? You only have like 2 minutes. That's all I'm going to give you.
Yeah, is that okay now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, can I share a screen real quick? Oh, I can't. Can I? No? Oh, here we go. And then, oh, maybe not. It doesn't matter. I'll just show it to you right here. How about this? So what I was going to do, I was trying to, I got to move on. I only have 2 minutes, is I'm going to do a third grade Earth Day little program on Earth Day. And that's the class that my grandson is in. And so what we're going to do is I was going to teach all of the kids how to sing a song called The Good Old Earth. And it was a song that we did with, when I was in the group Science Explosion. It was written to the old gray mare. So we're going to sing that and teach that to the kids. And then I have a 20 question game. I don't know if any of you remember or have a game, something like this. And it's one of those animal and vegetables. So since all of the kids are there into the room, what I'm going to do is to have the kids pick a number between 1 and 20, and I'll read a clue. For instance, if the kid picked number 8 on a natural wonder, I'm old and I am new. And then the kids will pick somebody else until we can guess what the question is. So wanted to do some discovering, and then wanted to do some sharing. What do they have at their house that represents Earth Day, or something that they would like to share? Maybe an art post. They're going to send that out to the kids this weekend, so the kids have a chance to do an art project, a poster, some sort of structure. I was going to show them, like I have, they like this sort of stuff. I do a bunch of Legos and stuff. This is a Lego hummingbird that I have. And then I was going to show a couple of the birds that I have to share with them. And then for a site, I put in the chart Earth Day at Home that you just talked about. And then finally, I put the GLOBE program on the document that they're going to get. And one of the actions from the GLOBE program was to pick up trash. And it was in there as an action. And it had in there, this is an easy event that's good for the environment and educational too. Discuss the many ways in which trash harms how long certain materials take to biodegrade, and the importance of recycling and composting. So in that 3rd grade lesson, we'll do a special one on Wednesday for about a half hour. We'll sing the song, we'll learn the song, we'll do some discovery with the 20 question game. We'll share projects that they've done prior to Earth Day, show the Earth Day at Home website, have available to them, and then the GLOBE program activity. So that's it. Thanks.
And right now, I'm going to turn it over to Peder Nelson then, and he is going to talk about the land cover things that he is sharing today. So I'm going to go on mute. If anybody needs to turn off their cameras because of bandwidth, that I highly encourage you to do that, and so feel free to do that. All right. Everyone's kind of, it's like, good night, everybody. Everyone shut off their cameras. It was all at once, it seemed. All right, turning it over now.
Thanks so much there, Jen. Really appreciate the opportunity to share some of what I've been doing this week. This week is kind of my big piece on the NASA at Home opportunities that have come up to support everybody who is needing some fun activities to do when you can't go out and actually do all the measuring. And I'll just highlight, I'm going to go through and highlight a couple of the websites and tools that are available on this nice little video. So I am going to drop in my Facebook video that launched yesterday. And it's basically what I'm going to talk about today. I changed my theme a little bit from the original idea as I figured out what I actually wanted to talk about here. And so what I wanted to really focus on is virtual expeditions. And similar to, looking out your window or that kind of thing, but it really ties in with remote sensing. Because remote sensing is one of those incredible tools that allows us to make measurements without touching things. And so right now, I think that's one of our most valuable tools that we have for science. So I encourage you to go here and check out the actual video, share that widely with people. There's also a YouTube captioned version that is also available. And I'll put that into the chat after this a little bit. And so I do encourage you to check out all that's here on the NASA Home videos. And like Kristen mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, every Tuesday and Thursday, a new video comes out on the NASA Earth Facebook page. And then you can find some of those videos there. So, so I kind of wanted to just highlight and start off with all of the amazing NASA satellites that are out there orbiting around. And these are not only ones that are out there right now, but also planned. So there's all kinds of graphics like this, but I found it kind of challenging to find the most recent one. But here's kind of a view of all the different satellites that are out there. Importantly, though, like I mentioned, how do you get to some of this data? How do you actually see some of these kinds of things so that you can start making some sense out of Earth? And for me, as I think about Earth Day, this view from space is one that is really transformative. And it really goes back to some of the early missions that NASA did, and how getting this global view really just changes our perspective. It gets us out of our individual way of experiences and really helps us to make a connection around the world. And as we think about the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, you know, really getting that time perspective, I think, is really important. So I'm going to just show here a couple of the same websites that I showed as well, and then highlight another opportunity that that I've been working on with a couple other GLOBE partners. I'm really excited to be able to share this this website. It's called Far Earth Observer, and it actually allows you to travel around and see the data, the science data, the remote sensing data from a variety of satellites actually getting beamed straight down. And so this is what the ground reference stations are actually collecting. So it's kind of the raw data. But what I find to be really kind of neat about this is, say, for instance, let's hop on, connection error. You can actually see the data coming down in nearly like flying along with the satellite. So, so this is a really neat one that is just kind of fun to have as almost a screensaver. And it allows you to see a variety of satellites that are out there and sort of travel along with it. So we hit refresh, that'll probably work in the middle of it. But I find to be a really fun one, and I use in a lot of my classes. And so I'll just quickly see, what do we actually get? Yeah, so here's a thermal band, and you can see it's sort of like creeping along here at the very bottom, right? So you actually are kind of getting almost that real-time process. A very different way of seeing the data, but it changes so very often. So you might be able to use that to talk about real events and what's happening. And so one of the neat things is you can actually change some of these band combinations and look at different ways that this particular satellite is actually visualizing Earth. So kind of fun. I enjoy that one. But once that data comes down, we then have options through NASA's Worldview. And just 2 days ago, and this is part of what NASA is promoting for Earth Day as well, is to actually go explore all the data that's available in Worldview. And I really, again, like this because I had a question on the Facebook Live asking about, can we see surface temperature? And so since that's one of the great campaigns that GLOBE runs, this is some of the data that's available, and it's actually data that's available through the visualization system as well. And so here we're actually seeing a lot of sea surface temperature measurements kind of integrated together. And what I really like about this one is that ability to time travel, either by a day or by month or by year. And so actually spinning back and being able to compare and go back, even for the same date, really allows any teacher or anybody to start understanding what it was like 5, 10, 15 years ago or so. Now, a lot of this data is kind of opportunistic, but it's a great way to actually make some measurements and correlate it with what people are observing or trying to understand about the processes on Earth. I'll highlight, if you haven't seen this, the events. Again, a really useful way of seeing what's happening currently. A lot of them are fires or volcanoes, but there's also the icebergs and some of those sort of events that are happening. So again, a good way of helping people make sense out of all the data that's available through NASA. And you can go in and explore all the different sort of themes that are out there. And so there's a lot that correspond to maybe some of the GLOBE measurements that students have done, or again, allow you to talk about what's important about Earth Day from your perspective. Have people explore it, and then you can actually share what you're seeing right here. And we're really encouraging people to do that. And on Wednesday, NASA had a big promotion around share your view of Earth. So I really encourage you to go in and do that. You can also get little snapshot views, and you can actually download images that you see, changing resolutions, all kinds of things like this, just kind of for your own use. You can even make videos, which is kind of fun too. You can go in and you can make videos of changes over time, all kinds of really valuable ways of accessing that satellite data that's out there. But this is another tool that I really have enjoyed just exploring in terms of the colors and textures and patterns that are out there, and really helping to sort of understand some unique processes that are out there. So this Visible Earth website, again, is just a collection of variety of satellite imagery tools that help everybody to just start understanding and seeing different patterns that are out there that actually can help with an understanding of what is available in worldview. So kind of, I like these kind of static event sort of ones that are in there, and there's thousands that are available to you. One of the other locations on our expedition that I'm taking you down today is these image comparison sliders that the USGS has put together for a variety of different events or scales. So again, one of the things that we want to talk, that I think is important about Earth Day is actually thinking about changes over time, and that Earth hasn't been the same, and that in fact there are a lot of tools that are out there that help people to actually explore and do some comparisons over time. And so here is, for instance, the slider bar is not coming up, probably because I'm sharing right now. But there are these variety of tools that allow you to compare one time to another. And again, helping to use the satellite data, the remote sensing, to get this perspective to be able to compare what's happening today to the past, especially if you're talking to third graders or even older people. All of us sort of have a limited memory, and we know that things are changing, but we don't really know how sometimes, or we can't articulate it. So you might find a tool like this, a particular slider comparison that can be really useful. And so there's a variety of these that have been put together there for you. Again, might be really good, useful, short tools to be able to explore changes over time. But as I highlighted, I hate looking at where other people have put together imagery. So, and I really love Landsat, and I love the fact that that satellite series has been continuously collecting data since 1972. So when we talk about Earth Day and how do we know what we know, Landsat is really kind of the key with it. And so this Landsat Look viewer that the USGS has put together is just an incredible way to start accessing some of that data. Here I'm showing, I'm actually showing right down here in the bottom of this image is Mount Hood, where I'm located virtually right now. And what we actually see here is an image that was collected at about the same time. It was actually a November time, and so you can go here. You can actually display. There's over 200 some odd images that were available for this location, and so you can easily go in there and you can explore the historical data for a variety of the different sensors that are available. And so you can see here, you can even pull up the old Landsat MSS going back to 1972 time period to get one of the first images for your area. So very, very powerful tool that takes us back to some of the early activities that were happening with the GLOBE program, and allows us to really time travel with that. So, there's another great tool for you to start helping people to understand what's happening with over time with Earth Day, and some of the challenges that we're actually talking about, and where resources come from, the colors and patterns, all those fun sort of things. But one of the challenges of remote sensing data like this is just trying to make sense out of what these colors actually mean. Again, we're talking about spatial scale, we're talking about temporal scale, and we're even talking about what the sensor is recording, right? And so here we're looking at a false color. We're actually looking at shortwave infrared data that was collected by that satellite. And we can tell because snow is not blue, right? We can even see it right behind me. This is two different sort of colors of snow at the same time. We have new snow and we kind of have this older snow on this glacier up on Mount Hood. And so trying to make sense out of this is one of the fun challenges that we all have. So where I end up and what I really like to do, and I think this could be a fun challenge for people, is to go in and explore all of the new land cover photos that have been submitted through the Globe Observer mobile app. There, we finally get them all popping up. One of the challenges, one of the opportunities is to actually see the data gaps that are out there. But one of the neat things, in case you don't know about it, is in the visualization system here, you can turn on the satellite view. And that really allows any of us to start making some better understanding of the colors that are in this cloud-free image, which is another fun, one of those interesting things to talk about. How do we actually come up with a cloud-free image when Earth is mainly cloudy? But you can have people go in, and even yourself go in and start to make some sense of the colors that are here. And so I'm zooming into my part of the world where I've collected a lot of data. And I would really love to see other locations start to get data density of just pictures like this. Again, you're doing remote sensing when you're actually using your mobile device and using Globe Observer to take photos, whether they be of the clouds or whether they be of the ground cover through the land cover tool or even the tree height. And so, yeah, so Kevin, this point about, you have new snow coming down. And so you can actually see that what I spent a lot of time this winter doing is actually going out and collecting some photos of what the snow looks like. And so that way I actually have some seasonality going on in here that I can make some comparisons. Here, for instance, is Timberline Lodge, one of the ski areas. Can't see the top of Mount Hood like we can in this November timeframe, but having people go and explore the pictures and then going back to the satellite image to try to better understand the connection between the two, again, is one of these great activities that you can do at home. And then I encourage people to share their imagery, their photos. What's their favorite one? Can you find one from a different location? Can you make sense out of it? What sort of land cover features do you see inside of there? Has it always been like that? A lot of great questions can just come from these pictures. And so you can kind of see a lot of these are my fun activities of elevational profiles to show differences over time or over elevation and different aspects like that. And so you can start to see how the ground photos help to really make some sense out of the colors that the satellite data provides to us. So that was basically what I actually showed in my in my video this week. And I think that's I think really fun and good activities and a lot of different little media artifacts that everybody here can start using to promote and both the NASA view of things, but also how it connects to the GLOBE programs. So thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate the amount of pictures. It's actually goes pretty fast once you get the hang of it. I think I have over 2,500 observations at this point. And what I want to mention is that I've been working with Mike in New York to also work on this other project, because one of these things is like, this is a lot of just viewing and kind of looking at. But we actually are using this Collect Earth online tool that is a NASA and USAID and Google project. And and I introduced this 2 years ago when we were in Ireland. And so we actually have a project set up specifically for the GLOBE program. And what Mike and I have been doing for his students actually is we set up a series of aerial photo interpretation points for them to actually go in and look at a small little area around their neighborhood. And then they actually go in and can see some of the satellite data that's available. But importantly, we actually have them go in and label the land cover that they're seeing in this location, for instance. And this is the same size as the land cover protocol that's out there, but being done virtually. So instead of measuring every single tree out there, we have the same sort of transects that are set up inside of here. And so I'll just offer that up to the group that if anybody is interested in having something like that set up for some of the areas that they've looked at, and I can help run a meetup where we do science together. That's some of the things that we've started doing with some other places to, again, give you some other way of doing the same kind of data collection as what you might be doing with the muck measurement with land cover. So I'm pretty excited about trying to bring back in some of these remote sensing opportunities right now with everything that's happening and people needing other ways of doing some science without actually making physical measurements of things. So with that, I will end my little discussion for now, but I'm here to answer some questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. That was great. And it's nice to see that project too. And I saw that Mike came in at the end there, so he saw that part. I thought I saw him somewhere. He was on there. Oh, maybe he got out.
Yes, he was, and then he had to duck out because he's on a search committee for president of his university. So
got it. Okay, that's important. So we will make sure we put all of these links in the recording. And then let's see. So we have a question from Sarah. Can you please show again the steps to get the imagery view in the Globe Viz?
Yes, and it's also in my Facebook 10-minute video there. But here, I can show it to you really easily right now because I was pretty happy when to see this connection to the satellite data inside of here. So usually when you start the GLOBE system, you come in and you have you just have a map view. This is usually where you start off with OpenStreetMaps, and so you have all of the protocols and everything. So we have the pictures that are located under the biosphere and land cover. So you have the photos here that I usually turn on. If you want to see some of the satellite data, this is kind of nice. Under the base map, under those 3 little dots, is where you can get a few different options. And so the nice thing is we have the OpenStreetMaps, which I'm a big fan of. I found that they're actually a little bit more up to date than the Google Maps sometimes. I found a couple trails that are completely wrong and different between these. So the OpenStreetMap is really powerful. And then you can switch to the satellite view there. One thing that kind of ties back to the worldview piece is these NASA satellite options. And so you can actually pull in this corrected reflectance view or the land surface temperature, which is actually pulling the same data as from the NASA worldview site. It's that same kind of data. And so those can be really beneficial background layers when you're actually looking at some of these locations. Again, you sometimes have to change the dates to get the data to sort of update with it. So there's some little quirks like that sometimes you have to work out when you're not going live to get that view of things. But I've been pretty impressed to have some of these other pieces, and it would be nice to have some other satellite data options built inside of the Viz system, so that it connects better with that NASA worldview site of things with it. So yeah, That's how I end up going in and starting to make some connections back to the satellite data from the ground measurements or field measurements that people are making.
Awesome, thank you. All right, any other questions before we pop over and try trivia?
This is Svetlana. We don't have to answer this now, but I'm curious whether Peter and Mike have any materials for teachers that are prompts or kind of suggestions for how to facilitate a discussion with kids at various grade levels. Maybe that is, I know that it's so amazing what you've pulled together, Peter, and I'm just wondering whether there's like a facilitation guide or anything like that that you've done for teachers to.
So the one that I really like to use, Svetlana, is actually this one from My NASA Data. So they have actually taken in a video that NASA put together of the research I've been involved in called Secret Life of Forests. And this has a short little video that kind of highlights changes over time, primarily in the Pacific Northwest, but California worked really well too. And that has a bunch of, a variety of prompts related to phenomena, primarily. Then the other one that I really like to use with any of these maps now is the data literacy cubes from My NASA Data.
Yeah, right.
Those are really great series of questions that you can use with any of these different products that I was showing. And they work at different age levels, and you get that nice kinesthetic piece of things where first you build the cube, or, you know, that kind of thing. And so right now, I think having that as a piece of this has been a really nice way that I've guided people through. There's some good questions that go along with that. What colors do you see? What do they mean? And that's where the pictures on the Viz site really can help make that connection between the colors that you see and what does that actually mean on the ground. Because the satellites are working at different scales that are beyond what many people relate to. So having those ground pictures where you can walk through those same kind of questions. What colors do you see? What objects do you see inside of here? And when you turn directions from the north to the south, what's the difference? And how does that all kind of give you a different perspective? And so that's sort of the way that we're trying to teach some of the land cover pieces. And the work that Jen did back in the early 2000s with some of the scavenger hunts and some of the muck campaigns and things like that, you could actually do a virtual version of that inside of there. Go find a picture that has a conifer tree in it. Where would you find that? What does that mean? And you can kind of guide that through. But I feel like we're working with Mike, we have some of these ideas, and we would love to work with anybody to actually write some of this down and to formalize it a little bit better. Right now, we kind of have a good pilot project going.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, any last questions?
Peder, on the tree app, do you have anything to do with that?
Yes, I'm helping. So trees are a land cover. I'll point that out very emphatically, very, very emphatically. So whenever you're doing the tree height measurement, you should actually be doing land cover as well to put that tree into context. Is it a single tree, or is there other pieces? Is there other trees that are really close to it? Sort of a density piece. And I'm working with, I'm co-lead with the Trees Around the Globe campaign with Brian Campbell, who's online. So him and I work a lot together to on the student research campaign piece of this. And my whole background is forestry research. So for the last 15 years, that's what I've been doing, is looking at trees from space. So yeah, that's kind of how the two tie together.
Okay, the app itself does not ask for the slope. The slope matter for the height of the tree.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so.
So where do we input the slope?
Yeah, so there isn't a way that you can indicate inside of there. You actually have to sort of deal with that on your own, or really ideally use a tape measure to get that estimate correct, and then do a slope correction. It's not really, the app is primarily made for flat surfaces, which doesn't work well when I'm in Oregon and we've got a lot of trees on slopes. So it's one of the limitations or challenges, but it's also a really good teaching opportunity.
Okay. So the app really assumes that we are on level ground.
Yes, it works best if you're on level ground. Let me put it that way. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
And I can follow up. I saw Jen sent me an email about that. So thanks, Jen.
But I like the app too because it gives me a map of the trees that I've taken. And as I take more pictures of the forestry around me, I will see that map grow and become more real.
Exactly. And in fact, if you label your land cover photos, you create your own land cover map as well. So that's, I encourage people to get that second badge, and then you can look at your map and actually get a 100-meter pixel map of land cover as you do it. So if you do the two together, you're really putting together some really personalized data.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Thanks.
All right, awesome.